Ooh, so you're going to play a bard, huh? Good choice. Very powerful character and an often very underrated character. What's that? Oh, right. You're having some trouble with spell selection. Well, it's kind of normal. The bard's tricky to play. But it turns out that you're in luck. Because behind today's secret door, best bard spells levels 1 through 5. So behind today's secret door, best bard spells, levels 1 through 5. This is Secret Door, a channel devoted to in-depth discussion about Dungeons and Dragons, and my name is Matt Morich. Alright, I have started a Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the channel, your help would be greatly appreciated and much needed. And many thanks to Marcelo and Doug for your support. The link will be in the pinned comment and in the description. Okay, so in this list, I'm going to cover levels 1 through 5. I'm going to give you, generally speaking, the top 3 spells, but at certain levels there may be 1 or 2 extras. There may even just be some honorable mentions. The Bard is a tricky class to play. Being a character that is famous for being able to do kind of everything well means that you can end up having a character that isn't particularly good at anything. The thing that can actually change all that is your spell selection. But if you go too far afield with it trying to be good at everything, then you're really not being good at any one thing. So this spell list I'm going to be providing you is going to take that into some account. It's admittedly the spells that I value as a bard, but it is my list. But I'm trying to be also to simply be objective. There are some spells that I probably would never pick that are nonetheless very good spells. Now, let me just make one quick little observation here for you as well. Of the subclasses that we get in the Player's Handbook, 2 of those 4 are actually going to be wanting to use spell slots to trade it once they hit level 5. They're going to want to be trading in, especially their level 1 slots and sometimes their level 2 slots, for Bardic Inspiration. That's the Glamour Bard, and that's going to be the Dance Bard. Both of them are going to be well motivated to start cannibalizing their slots to gain Bardic Inspiration. Now, I've already covered the new Glamour Bard, and it's immensely powerful, and its Bardic Inspiration is easily worth a 1st or 2nd level spell slot. I bring this up because if you're wanting to play one of those 2 classes, as you advance through levels and you hit level 5, you were going to be looking at those 1st and 2nd level spells very differently than when you were 4th level or less. So what I'm saying is that you may be looking at your 1st and to some degree your 2nd level spell slots in the light of how do they cast with a higher level slot, because you're going to be sacking all those 1st and 2nd level slots, or not all the 2nd levels, but a lot of them for Bardic Inspiration dice. But I'm not weighting the value of the spell on a level-by-level basis on that. I just want you to be very aware of it. I'm trying to take it into some account because Glamour Bard is so incredibly powerful that I think a lot of you, if you are playing a Bard, there's a very good chance you're going to play a Glamour Bard. So at 1st level, we're going to start with 2 honorable mentions. Number 1 is Tasha's. Now, Tasha's Hideous Laughter is a great spell. It's a wonderful spell. There's a superior spell on the list that's on your Bard list, so it's here. But Tasha's is exactly what I was talking about just a minute ago. If you upcast it, you're going to have multiple targets that you'll be able to hit with it, and you'll be able to pick which ones on the map. So it could be very different than casting a 1st level spell slot. So you may want to actually swap a spell out for Tasha's once you hit 5th level. The next honorable mention is Bane. Now, Bane is a great spell. So a fantastic spell, and you could very easily switch Bane here with what is actually number 3 on the list, or even number 2 on the list, depending on how you want to play. Bane has the great advantage of being a very good upcast spell, so whether you take it now or swap it in later at level 5, it's a good choice. And at number 3 on the list here at 1st level, we have Fairy Fire. Verifire is a very strong spell. Now, depending on your playstyle, like I said, you could easily put Bane right here. They are very close. The thing I like about Verifire is that if things are pretty close, I always favor offense over defense, and Bane is obviously more defensive. You could easily argue it's an offensive spell because it's lowering their saving throws, but that's also dependent on there being something really good coming after you've cast Bane. But if you are then running with a bunch of casters in the party and advantage isn't going to be that valuable to that group, then obviously you want to swap it for Bane. They're very, very close. Now, number 2 on the list, and this is where we get into the bard's dilemma of what do you think your role in the party is? Because number 2 on the list is a combo of pick one of these, either Healing Word or Cure Wounds. Now, having a healing spell is really, really great, but as I said here at 5th level, if you're playing a Glamour Bard or a Dance Bard, you're not going to have those kind of spell slots available to you. Now, they obviously will scale, but I think it's a big mistake for a Bard character to consider themselves even a secondary healer. It just depends. If you're going with one of the other two that doesn't have a lot of pressure on your Bardic Inspiration and therefore pressure on your spell slots, healing puts a lot of pressure on any caster who is on their spell slots. It just puts an enormous amount of pressure on those spell slots. Because once you are known as the healer, everybody in the party is going to come to you if they're down anything, and they're going to be trying to wheedle another heal out of you because everyone wants to be at max all the time. But nonetheless, when these kinds of spells come up, I will talk about them on the list. I wouldn't recommend having any more than 1 or 2 spells in your entire arsenal that are healing spells or anything of that sort. Now, the big deal about being a secondary or tertiary healer is that when the big healer goes down, being able to pick them back up again it opens up all that battery of healing to the rest of the party. So it's a pretty important thing to have. I recommend having one, regardless of what your playstyle is, but you don't have to feel like you must absolutely take it. And at number 1, not a big surprise, I'm sure, is Sleep. Sleep is a spell that at low levels throughout D&D's history has always been a dominant spell, and now they've changed it so that it's not quite as dominant at low level. It's still a great spell, but it's still a very effective spell now throughout the rest of the campaign. Problem with Sleep is that it doesn't have any form of upcast that's really worth anything. It's still absolutely worth casting, and if you are using a first level slot to cast it, you're getting an enormous bang for your buck for a first level spell slot. But ironically, Sleep may be one that you want to trade out at 5th level if you are playing one of those classes that's going to have a lot of pressure on your first level spell slots. And at level 2, we are also going to begin this list with 2 more honorable mentions. The first honorable mention is going to be Shatter. Shatter is for the level, is a very good area of effect damage spell. It's a very nice complement to later things when you have a concentration control spell up. If you have the spell slots and you can throw them, and the situation warrants, being able to toss a Shatter out to just push things along can really be very, very helpful. The problem is I personally don't want to play a Bard for damage. I want to play a Bard for control, buffing, debuffing, and that's it. And it's not to say that you can't build a Bard that can do good damage, but I see the spell list and I see control and buffing and debuffing and Bardic Inspiration, and that's what I want to do with it. Now, all that being said, there could be a way to make a really good damage Bard with the rules as they are right now. I have not honestly sat down to try and break that for damage just yet. The next on the honorable mention is Mirror Image. Mirror Image is a fantastic spell. And this is just so typical for 2nd level. There's so many of these spells that I want. And the Bard list is a really great spell list. It's strangely, though, its 2nd level spell list is still not as strong as, say, even the Sorcerer's 2nd level spell list is. But you have things on this list that a Sorcerer and a Wizard don't. It's one of the great joys of being the Bard is that you get access to these little things, and they're quite the thing that you have to have when you're actually making your spell selection is to show great restraint when you're going to stray. So that brings us to number 3 on the list, which is suggestion. Now, suggestion, you could be in a situation where suggestion is the best spell that's going to be available to you on this list. But suggestion is definitely player dependent. It's a powerful spell, but you have to know when to cast it, who to cast it against, what to do with that spell to make it really, really sing. So for that reason, I have it at number 3. And it's not always going to be situationally available. It is a situational spell. So if you're in that situation, those kind of situations a lot, its value goes up. But I have to put it here at number 3 for that reason. And at number 2, I have invisibility. Now, invisibility could easily also be number 1. Easily. A wonderful, powerful spell, also upcast very nicely. But what's sitting there at number 1 has to be at number 1. And what's at number 1 is aid. Now, aside from it being a nice buff to 3 party members, its ability to pick up 3 party members who've fallen, it's the ultimate in case of fire, break glass kind of a spell. And you're getting it here at 2nd level. Aid is just too good. And of course, there's all the normal things with aid. It's raising your your standard hit points up and temporary hit points stack on top of that. So it's got as a buff goes, it's one of the best ones in the game. In terms of like defense for hit points and temporary hit points, it just synergizes with everything else so beautifully. And it's a pickup spell. So for that reason, and combat's just always going to happen, but invisibility, aid, I have to put aid here, but invisibility is right there, right behind it. And here we are at level 3, and we have another 2 honorable mentions. And that should be a really good clue for you as just how good the Bard spell list is. It's fantastic. So at number 5, or not 5, but at the first honorable mention, I have Dispel Magic. Now, Dispel Magic is, you don't have Counterspell on your list. Dispel Magic is that underrated spell that's actually much stronger than you think it is when you read it. It's essentially Counterspell after the fact. And there's no opposition. There's no save. It's just like level 5 or lower, bang, it's gone. That spell ends. The problem, of course, is that not only is it more situational than Counterspell, which is already kind of a situational spell, it has no effect on things that are going off instantaneously and have no duration or concentration or anything of that sort. So it is definitely more confined than Counterspell. So it's not as powerful as Counterspell, but it serves a very similar purpose. The next honorable mention could go up on this list depending on what kind of campaign you're in, how your DM plays, how do your fellow players drop all the time. if that happens, then this spell would go up on your priority list for sure. It's a good spell, but it's only good when lots of people are going down, and that is Mass Healing Word. As a heal spell, it's still effective. It's kind of effective in just sort of giving everybody like basically one like average hit that they could take, which is, it can affect up to 6 characters. So that's very, very good. Very, very strong. And you could easily argue that it could just be something that you standardly do at the end of a combat just to sort of, bring everybody up to snuff or closer to up to snuff. But of course, where it really is going to shine is when people have dropped and you're able to pick them back up. And so the question then becomes, if you're going to use it as a pickup thing, why not just use aid? It's important to note that the healing value here is not all that fantastic, but it is good. It's just, it's a 3rd level slot. Aid is a 2nd level slot. Would you be better off casting aid with a 3rd level slot? You might be. Now, here at number 3, we have Leomund's Tiny Hut. And this is another point to mention as well. With your 1st level slots, there are some really nice rituals there. But here we are at 5th level. And so because Leomund's Tiny Hut is a ritual spell, you may also want to follow that and say those 1st level slots, if you're playing a very bardic inspiration heavy character and who's going to be consuming those 1st level slots, picking some nice rituals at 1st level could be a really good idea. Making those trade outs now could be a very good idea. It just also kind of depends on your playing style. If you play a lot with rituals, some people do, some people don't. It just kind of depends on you, but that's how I would look at it. Leomund's Tiny Hut, though, is one of those rituals that It's so good that if it's on your list, you have to take it, but not necessarily. If there is somebody else that can take Leomund's Tiny Hut, you are a bard with a limited number of spells known. You let them take that spell. As strong as it is, you only need one of them. It is truly wasteful to have two characters that can both cast Leomund's Tiny Hut. It's not. I mean, the only time that would be important is if that one of those characters died and there was no bringing them back, and so you had to take the long rest in hostile territory, that would be the only time Leomund's Tiny Hut being carried on two different characters would be useful. But otherwise, a fantastic spell, wonderful spell, and it's at number 3. Now, at number 2, this could be something that you don't even take because of the playing style problems. It's Revivify. Now, I am of the opinion, like if I had to take one specific, healing spell, Revivify certainly qualifies, but it's not obviously normal healing, I would feel obligated to take Revivify. Because if somebody dies, or if the primary healer were to die, if you have access to Revivify and you didn't take it, you're going to feel like an absolute idiot. What's worse is you're going to even feel guilty because that poor player is out of the game until their character can be brought back to life. And if you could have done it and you didn't because you wanted some other cool spell, I think I'd have to take Revivify. So the way I would approach a bard at this point, I would say I think I would have to take Aid and I'd have to take Revivify. But that doesn't mean you have to, and every party composition is going to be different and all that. It's a very strong spell, but you don't have to take it. It's just how I would look at it. But it's nonetheless an incredibly powerful and great spell. It changed how we play D&D, quite honestly. And at number 1 on the list, of course, is Hypnotic Pattern. It may be the platinum standard for control. I mean, at this level, it certainly is. But for all of the people like me that sit here and tell you how wonderful and great and counter-ending Hypnotic Pattern is, and it is, there are 2 things you need to remember. Is 1, people can be shaken out of a stupor. That's a real buzzkill. Number 2, of course, is that they have to not be immune to the charmed condition. If they're immune to the charmed condition, the spell goes nowhere with them. And the number of creatures that are immune to the charmed condition is higher than you think. The last I looked, I think it was something like 30 to 35% of creatures are immune to the charmed condition. So bear that in mind. It's not foolproof, but boy, is it strong. And now we get to 4th levels. This is our first level that doesn't have an honorable mention at all in it. That isn't to say that its 4th level list is bad. In fact, it's really, really good for the ones that you really, really want. It's all the rest of the spells. They're good. They're fine. They're okay. You could take them. They're good. There's not one there that I go, oh, I would never take that. But there's a lot that I would probably never take just because they're fine. But the first one here at number 3 is Fount of Moonlight. So Fount of Moonlight is a nice damage bonus. So if you are playing a character, and this only applies to melee attacks, you get an extra 2d6 to your melee attacks. That's really good, really great. And it also has a strange buff-debuff effect where it can debuff the enemy and buff everybody else in that party attacking the enemy, because if they fail a saving throw after hitting you, they get the blinded condition for a round. So overall, a nice spell. I'm not saying that it's close to the number 2 or the number 1. There's this one, and then there's these. Now, Fount of Moonlight, though, if you are playing a martial-minded bard who's going into melee, then Fount of Moonlight becomes the spell you've been looking for, waiting for, planning for, and it's a big deal to get it. But at number 2 on the list, of course, is Dimension Door. Now, Dimension Door is a spell that doesn't have any kind of time limit on it in terms of like how long it's going to be effective for you. You're getting it here at 7th level. It's always going to be a really great spell. It's always going to be effective. You're always going to be lucky and glad that you have it. It can be a get out of jail free card. It can be a great exploration card, utility card, whatever. It's just really great. And at number 1 is Polymorph, which is one of my all-time favorite spells. And it's the versatility that Polymorph provides and the fact that you can just change an encounter with it is great. Now, that changing an encounter with it will last for 3, 4 levels. So 7, 8, 9, maybe 10th level. It's still going to be having a lot of oomph to it, but after that, it really falls off. But Polymorph at these kind of levels is a we win card. And you don't turn down we win cards. You just don't. And Polymorph is one of those. And we're now at the end at 5th level. Now, the honorable mentions could go on for quite some time here. And quite honestly, they're all really so close that I'd have to list like 7. They have a lot of really great spells here at 5th level. But there is one that stands out over the rest as an honorable mention goes. And that's scrying. And now if you're familiar with the channel, you know how much I love scrying. If you can ever get your hands on scrying, you take it. But that's how good the spell list here is that scrying, one of my favorite 5th level spells, is an honorable mention. But I can't go on long enough about how that big chunk of spells I mentioned and how they didn't get mentioned here. There's a lot of really good ones. And so what's going to come up here on the list now, you may think, what is he doing rating that over this? I'm thinking about playing styles and what have you. And I'll make these notes as we go. So at number 3, I have Synaptic Static. Now, Synaptic Static is a spell that it's going to give you AoE damage, nice AoE damage in a very big area. And that's nice. You don't have, unless you took Shatter, you don't have any AoE damage spells. Having that card to play is always going to be great. It's the debuff that makes it so desirable for you as a bard. So the ability to soften everybody up and debuff them as a bard is kind of too good to resist. I would definitely strongly consider taking Synaptic Static. It just depends on what you're doing with your bard. People who play bards have a very specific idea of what they want to do, and then there may be playstyle things. This may not fit in either of those, but it's a great spell. Now, is it so much better than those other spells, that chunk of 7 spells or whatever it is that I mentioned? It's enough that it's here, in my opinion. Let's put it that way. Now, number 2 on the list could simply not be taken. It just depends on again, but it's Raised Dead. Now, I'm so old school that this is the resurrection spell right here. This is when you get it. This is a big deal. When I mentioned Revivify changed how we play D&D, that's why. So if you took Revivify, don't take Raised Dead. In fact, some of those other spells that didn't even make the list, I'd be taking a strong look at those. There's so many good ones. But Raised Dead is one of those spells that is simply too powerful to not take a look at it and make a decision. But as I said, it can also be a spell that's completely unnecessary for your party because of Revivify or your party composition. So in some respects, I'm paying it a lot of homage due to its position in D&D history. But that minute can run out with the Revivify, and then it's the only chance you've got. So, and there's plenty of other circumstances where Raised Dead is going to be the only way to go. So I think you have to at least consider taking Raised Dead. So then, what is the number 1 spell here at 5th level that the bard can get? What is the thing that is the must take? It's the best 5th level spell in the game. Wall of Force. Now, Matt, you're saying, Matt, they don't get Wall of Force, you idiot. The bard has never gotten Wall of Force. That's true. It's not on the bard spell list. But at 10th level, you're 9th level now. At 10th level, you're getting Magical Secrets. And guess what spell you're taking with Magical Secrets? You're taking Wall of Force. So I'm counting it because that's the spell you absolutely take. That is the platinum standard for control spells. I mean, the only thing that upgrades over that is Force Cage, which also is on your bard spell list at level 7. But you may never see 7th level spells. Or by the time that you do, the campaign could very easily be at its very last legs. So is it kind of cheating a little bit? Just a little bit. But Magical Secrets, the entire bard spell list changes to the best spells you want in the game at this point. So I'm saying this now to represent just how insanely powerful the bard is now, especially if you do play late levels. Ask yourself about all that stuff that the bard gets. And if you are playing from 10th level past, there's going to be nobody that has the kind of spell selection that the bard has. It's insane what they did. It's crazy. So Wall of Force at number 1. But there are so many great 5th level spells, and don't feel like I'm not recognizing that. I am. It's just very difficult to gradiate some of them because they're all so close. So these are the ones I picked for 5th level. All right. Well, that's all I've got. If you enjoyed the video, please like, please share, please subscribe. And if you're stuck and you don't know where to go, you can always search for a secret door. Until next time, I cast bless on all of you.